And here we go. Catilinae. Pulchrum est, it is beautiful. Bene, the adverb. Facere re publica. It is beautiful, facere, to do things or to make things, re publica, for the republic, and to do them bene, well. Etiam, and even, dicere bene, to speak well, is hord absurdum est. It's not absurd. It comes from being deaf, but actually it's not crazy to speak well. Vel parce vel bello. These are just either or, so either in peace or in war. Clarum, it means bright or famous. Licet, the impersonal fury. So it's just saying it's possible to become clarum, to become famous, either in peace or in war. Et qui, and those who, fecere, they do the deed. Et and qui, and those who, scripsere, the factor aliorum, and those who write the deeds of others. Multe laudantur, that's passive, so many are praised who do the deeds and those who write the deeds of others. Ac, mihi, and to me or for me, quidem indeed. Tame etsi, well etsi just means although, hord quaquam, by no means. Par gloria, par as you know from golf means equal, the right amount. So it follows the gloria equally. Scriptorum and actorum rerum, so in the scriptor, the writer in the accusative, and the actorum, those who does the deeds, rerum in the matter. And so by no means is the glory or the fame equal that follows the writer and the doer of the deed. But nevertheless, in primus arduum videritor, nevertheless it seems, in the first place you might want to say, in first places, arduum scribere, that seems arduous or tiresome or hard to write the res gestes. These are the things done. Primum, first, quod facta dictis exequenda sunt. First, because the facta, the deeds, exequenda sunt, they must be followed. This looks periphrastic, meaning it must be done. So the deeds must be followed, dictis, with words, by the words. Exequenda means to make equal, so the words must equal the facts. Dihing, then or next in line. Quia, because. Pluriqui means mostly, most of the time, many things. The things which reprehendus delicta. Delicta is the plural of delictum, which is the wrongdoings. Of course, there are many things reprehendus in which you reprehend these wrongs or you criticize them. Malevolentia, this is a bad will, it means literally. And invidia, which is hatred or angry. Dicta, when these things are said, putant. This would be people are thinking, they're said with envy or malevolence or hatred. Ubi de magna virtu, so when it's concerning great virtue or valor and gloria, memores bonorum. So when you are mindful of good men concerning their valor and their glories. Quae sibi quisque facilia factu putant. Okay, that's a singular verb. So which quisque, each person, sibi for themselves, they think it'll be easy to do in a deed. Factu, facilia is easy, so they think it'd be easy to do these deeds. Accept this or receive this with an equo animum, with a calm mind or a fair mind. Supra eo, so things which are written above, veluti, as if. Victor pro falsus, ducit. So consider these as if there's a fiction, or actually as if they're a fiction or pro in the place of something that's false. So to sum that bit up, what you say when you criticize, they think it's done out of envy and hatred, and when you recall the good merits, everyone thinks they could do it themselves. And they think there's a lot of falsehoods in there. Said ego, but I, Adelen Centulus, that's a diminutive, as a very young man, Initio, in the beginning, sicut pleriqui, just as if of many folk or many people, studio ad republica latus sum. So I was latus, I was carried by zeal into the public life, into the republic, ibiqui, and there, to me, mihi, multa adversa fure. There are many things going against me, many adverse things, or setbacks as the Loeb puts it. Nam, pro pudor, for instead of this shame or modesty, pro abstinia, instead of basically abstinence or restraining, pro virtue, instead of these valors. Here we have what there was. Audacia largitio avaritia vigabet. Vigabet is imperfect, it means it was flourishing. So there was boldness. Audacia largitio, this is largesses or bribes and gifts. Avaritia is avarice and greed, instead of these words which have pro in the ablative. Quae, which things? Temetsi again. Although his animus, which is his mind basically, was a spurnator, so even though he had spurned these things, his mind had spurned these things, insolens, this is an adjective in the nominative. Usually it means being haughty or arrogant. Malarum artium. I think it means unaccustomed in this case. So his very mind would spurn these things, unaccustomed to these malarum artium, of these evil arts, double genitive. Nevertheless, inter tanta vitia, amongst such vices, again that's the plural neuter, in bellica aetas, this means his age was, basically it comes from being weak, sort of, so he had this weakness due to his age. Ambitionem, which is ablative. Corrupta, looks past passive or adjective. Tenebator. So, and amongst such vices, he was held probably by the corruption from his ambition, in which he'd entered this public life, and he was weak from his age. Okay, we'll have a daily dictionary from the Lewis Latin Dictionary. Insolens. This is in the genitive. It usually comes from contrary to custom. In the particle, excessive, immoderate. And here we get the adverb insolita. Basically, you get the picture. It was an unusual thing that he did. Okay, where the hell were we? Okay. 5. Acme and me. Cum ab reliquorum. When from the rest of them, that's the genitive. So from the evil, the malus of the rest of them, and malus moribus go together. From these evil habits of the rest of them, he desenterade. Sentio means he thought the same, or when he was thinking differently from the evil ways of the rest of them, nihil minus, nonetheless, cupido, desirous, honoris, of honours, of the same iadem, so he's desirous of the same honours, quae, which the keteros, which the rest of them had, fama and invidia, he was vexed about. This desire vexed him for fame or repute and these envies which the rest of them had. Igator, therefore, ubi when, his animus, which we've seen before, which is his brain, his mind, from multis miseris, from many miseries or miserable things, and periculus, usually means dangers. So he required, that comes from rested, or he'd calmed down, or he'd gone into some peace after many miseries and dangers, and reliquiem mihi aetem, and having the rest of his age, or the rest of his life, for himself, a republica, away from the republic. Procol means far. Habendem decrevi, which means I've decided, decreed. I've decided I'd spend the rest of my age, the rest of my life, far from the public. Habendem, that looks gerundive, something like that. Going with the reliquam. Non fuit concilium, it was not his plan, or we'll say that for now. Secordia and desidia. Secordia is like slothfulness, laziness, and desidia is another form of saying the same thing. Leisures and laziness. Bonum, otium. This means he would have good leisure. Conterre, here's the verb. So it was not, since it's first person, it was not my plan to wear away, conterre, to waste my time. It wasn't his plan to waste away his good leisure in laziness and sloth. And nequi vero just means, but neither was it in collando agrum, and this means cultivating the fields, or in venando, which is hunting. These are gerunds, dative, ablative endings on them. Servilibus office, like a slave in duties, basically. If we look at these ablative words, intentum agere aetum. So yeah, this is to agere, to live out his aetum, his life again, which we've had up there. So he didn't want to live out as a servile duties in these ways, to live out his life in intentum. Again, that was his intention, or what he was aiming at to do with his life. Said, but aequo, from which incepto, from which I began studio qui, and what his studio was, what his zeal was, or so from what he began and was desirous of. There's me, which just means himself. He was detinerated ambitio mala. So this bad ambition had detained him, basically, from the things which he had began and was desirous of. Eodem regressus. So regressus is the past passive, means he has returned to that thing from which he had began. Eodem going with incepto. I'm guessing the eo is the ablative, which means the same thing which he began. Statui. I decided the res gestes populi Romanae. So this is the things done, or the history of the deeds done of the Roman people. Captum, one of our I am adverbs, so it means piece by piece selectively, the selective deeds of Roman people. Ut, so that, quaeque, whichever things videbanta seemed, digna memoria, worthy of having a memorial wrote about them, he would prescribere, which is to write. Eo magus, and even the more so, quod, because, mihi to me, a spe metu partibus, from hope and from fear and from factions, basically. His animus, his mind, liberat, it would be free. So these would be the factions and hope and fears of the Republic. His mind would be free from all these things. Igitur, therefore, de Catilinae Coniuratione, concerning the Catiline conspiracy, or de conspiracy of Catilina, the gentleman, quam verisimu potero, shall be able to be, quam verisimu, as truthful as possible. We have the quam with this superlative. Absolvam porca, so I will pay out a few words, or basically I'll write a few words. For id facinus neuter, for this crime or deed in primis, is basically in the first place, I ego memorable existimo. So existimo means I think this memorabile, pretty much the same thing in English. For this crime, or these deeds, I think memorable in the first place because of the sceleros of the crime and the periculi novitate. Okay, so this ablative showing the novelty of the sceleros of the crime and of the danger. So he thinks the deeds of the Catiline conspiracy is memorable because of the crime and the danger that it was. De cuis hominis moribus, concerning the moribus, his customs or his habits, cuis hominis, of this man, porca, a few words, prius is prior, explananda sunt. So I must give an explanation of a few words concerning this man's character. Quam initium narrandi faciem. Prius quam here, split. And I shall make faciem a beginning of this narration. Again, that's a gerund thing. So he'll give a few prior words of explanations concerning this man's habits as he makes the initial bit of his narration or his story. Il Catilina. This looks nominative. He was natus, going with the apposition of Catiline. He was born natus from a noble genere, which is noble gens, which means it was a noble family. Fuit magna vi et animi et corporis. And he was with a great force or power of his mind and of his body, his corporis. But in genio, when it comes to his inborn nature or characteristics, malo prevoqui, and there's the enclitic. But of his character, he was malo, evil, and depraved, bravo. Huic, ab adolescentia. So basically, he, from his youthfulness, from his young manhood, his adolescentia, bella intestina in civil wars, cades is slaughter, these might actually be nominative, or rapine, these are pillages or thefts basically, and discordia civilis. Discordia civilis, it's a discord amongst the citizens, going along with the internal wars and the slaughters, etc. Grata fure. Grata usually means influence or something like that. Ibiqui, and there juventum suum exercit. So there he exercised his youth in these things, or he lived his life involved in all these slaughters and thefts and civil discord, etc. And we're just about done. Corpus patiens inertia. You might see from inertia, it means you're fasting or you're hungry. So his corpus, his body, could endure patiens. His body was enduring when there was nothing to eat. Algoris is of the cold. Vigile means staying awake. Supraquam, cuiquam credibilis. So supra means above, which is credible, cuiquam, to anyone basically. So that's how strong he was of body. His animus, again, his mind, for like the third time, was audax, is bold or daring. Subdolus means he would use tricks basically. Various means he was fickle, or he could be of various types of mind. Cuis re lubet. So, and in many things, he was able to be a simulator, act dissimulator. Simulator means making pretenses or simulating or making, pretending things. And dissimulating means he's covering up things basically, or hiding things. He would be ad petans, which is the nominative of this. He'd be seeking the goods alieni of others, I'm guessing. Profusus of his own things. Profusus means he would be wasteful of his own things. Ardens means burning again in his cupidatibus, in his desires. Satis eloquentia, he had satisfactory eloquence in speaking, but parum, he was leastly good, or he was worse when it came to sapientia, which is wisdom.